All right, so what we're going to do is this very quickly. I'm going to walk you guys through. We've already talked about two-point perspective before. We actually did it yesterday. We're going to keep talking about it a little bit. And then I'm going to introduce you to a couple fun kind of practices that we're going to do along the way. But to start off, I just want to make sure, again, it's fresh in your noodles. So if you remember yesterday, it was yesterday, we did kind of the whole maze thing. That's what we ended on, right? How many of you guys, just by a show of hands, how many of you guys felt relatively comfortable with that? Relative. I mean, I'm not saying you feel like amazing, but okay. For those who do not, and feel free to speak up. We're all amazing, awesome people, and by awesome I mean we're in art too and horrible losers, except for me. For those who don't feel comfortable, truly, what don't you feel comfortable about? Like, kind of crit yourself a little bit. What was too much? Okay, all right. Just in general, just the whole concept. Just okay. That's not a problem. Okay. All right. Good enough. Thank you all for speaking up and speaking your mind and telling me what to do. No, that's fine. All right, so look at my gigantic hand. It's like an ant is attacking. Okay, all right. So here's the deal. So what's going to happen is I'm going to walk you guys through, again, just the basic understanding of what two-point perspective is. We'll go along, and then we're going to start, like I said, jumping into the kind of the games, so to say, to kind of link all of this stuff down into your brain holes. So let's start off. So again, if you remember how we started off before, so think about where your horizon line is, right? You got to know where that is, obviously. Then you kind of put, little barbells on either end, and we're going to say that this is our 2 points. So right here, these are our 2 points. And whereas with 1 point perspective, I drew like a line, I have my dot, maybe I had a box above me, and I just drew this back, right? If this is straight, then that's straight. If this is straight, then that's straight. And that's 1 point perspective. And I can do that wherever the heck I want to. But it always goes back to this one singular point. And then I cut it off. And I cut it off. Right? The difference between 1 point and 2 point is basically this. If you guys remember, in 1 point perspective, I told you that the rules for 1 point perspective were that you have to go up and down, side to side, that's vertical and horizontal, or back to the dot. Those were your only 3 options forever and ever and ever. There's nothing ever else, period, when it comes to blocking in, of course, right? So it's not ever going to change. These are your options for 1 point perspective. In 2 point, though, the rules change slightly. In 2 point, what we do is you don't go horizontally. We are literally going to kill horizontal. It no longer exists. What exists in its place is straight up and down, back to the dot, or back to the other dot. That's it, right? So as you're drawing, and again, you guys all know 1 point perspective because we've done it already. As you're drawing along, just remember that if it is horizontal, instead of it being horizontal, make it shoot back to that dot, and you're going to be just fine. Now, whenever you do like the top of a box, like we did yesterday a little bit, that crisscross over there, that can give you a little bit of tricks and kind of mess your brain up. But you're going to be fine, I promise. So, do me a favor, just to reiterate what was in our brains from yesterday. Do me a favor, draw 3 lines, vertical lines, anywhere on your page. I don't care where. So you can do like here, here, I'm going to do it here. Just 3 lines anywhere vertical on your page. These are going to be our vertical lines. I know. You're excited. It's like too much to handle. Vertical lines? What? But how? Your wizardry knows no bounds. You're a wizard, Harry. I was going to say, it needs more girth. Like, you're a wizard, Harry. Almost there. Almost. So... I have to entertain myself, that's the problem. So imagine that each one of these vertical lines has some little barbells on the top and the bottom here. So these little lines, you can work out with them. These are about the weight that I would be using to work out with. Negative 4 pounds. They're literally lighter. They carry you away. Look, here I am. I'm holding on. I'm like, oh no. There I am. It's carrying me away. All right, so what I'm going to ask you guys to do is, with each one of these barbells, take them both back to both dots. So for example, this guy right here, he goes back to the dot, but he also goes back to this dot. And go ahead and draw right over top of your stuff. Do that with all of them. Doesn't matter where they're at. Just bring them back to the dot, and back to the dot again. So you're kind of doubling up a little bit. So you end up with like a kind of cool, I don't know what, retro-y, modern house-looking thing. Okay? Take your time. If, as you're going along, you find that you kind of have these like, oh, crap-ole, I'm messing up, this is not right. If you have those kind of scratchy lines, just grab a ruler. They're in the back. Help yourself. When you do your actual project, you will be using the ruler, just so much rulerage.
You wanted to use big words.
I did. I stumbled on that one. I did. Thank you for calling me out. It makes me feel like a fool. It's all right. It's all right. It does. Thank you. So, you will be using a ruler. Some would say it's almost like you would be the king of a kingdom. You would be its ruler. So, yeah. That's the jokes, guys. You either like them or you hate them, but this is what I got for you. Thank you. All right, so now all we're going to need to do is we need to take this vertical line that we did for all of ours, and we need to move it going down in either direction. We need to cut this box off, because right now it goes on for infinity. So I'm going to say vertical line here, I'm going to say here as well, and I'm going to say for mine it goes here. Why not? Do that for all of yours. So wherever you want to cut them off, they can be big, long rectangles, they can be short, I don't know, squares, cubes, whatever you want. So again, what you end up with is a whole bunch of lines going back to dots, and in essence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think that's right, 9 vertical lines. Basically, there's 3 vertical lines for each rectangle. And they're all going parallel. None of them are running into each other. That's good. All right. So now, the final steppy. So now, where I get to the bottom, because this is above my eye line, right? So if my eyes are here, and it's above me, I can see underneath of it. Well, what? You can see the underside, right? So if it's above my horizon line, I'm going to take this where these 2 lines intersect, and this is where I crisscross. So I'm going to take it back to here, and take this one back to here, and what I end up with, I'll darken it in. What I end up with is this guy. At least for me, when I was first learning 2-point perspective, it's the crisscross that always confused me. I didn't know when I should crisscross and when I shouldn't. And the answer is this. If you remember back with Art 1, whenever we were doing 1-point perspective, it's the exact same thing. When in doubt, draw lines all over the place. You don't need to get it perfect the first time. If you're not sure if you should crisscross, then don't. Try to take it to the other dot and see if it looks good. And if it doesn't look good, then it probably isn't right. Your gut knows what 2-point perspective looks like because you see it all the time. Now remember, if you're actually on that horizon line, of course, it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to look a little bit different because it's actually on the line. So if it's, especially if it's over top of the line, gorsh, it's going to look really different then. Now as you're darkening these in, you can choose if you want to. Maybe you want to overlap them. Give it a sense of 3-dimensionality. Maybe do a little casty shadow, because you guys know how to do that. Right? Have some fun with it. They're happy little cubes. I mean, you may not be happy making them, but they themselves are happy for being made. Nope. Nope, I'm never sure. Would you be miserable for being created? Well, too bad. What's up? Try it. You got it. You're not. You can do it. All good? Yep, we're going to get to harder stuff. All right. So, take your time. It's okay. I'm going to come around and help you guys out in a little bit. If you're a little behind or you're not quite fully grasping it, don't stress out. I promise. It'll be all right. So, what I want you guys to do, go ahead and just find a new spot. And with our new spot, go ahead and give yourself a new horizon line. And again, with that new horizon line, 2 new dots. So again, go back to the emo whale. Here he is. Again, he's here to say hi. But he's not quite happy. All right, you like that? That's my emo whale. All right, so you get out that emo whale there. There he is, ready to go. All right, this time, however, I'm gonna play a little bit. Rectangles, squares, easy. Kid stuff. Oh my, indeed.
Circles.
Rectangles and squares and
Circles.
circles. Oh my. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. If you would, can you, again, it's still, remember, we're still looking at the corner of things. So whereas in 1 point perspective, say for example that this is my 1 point, right? In 1 point perspective, again, I can draw a circle, I can take it back into space, and then of course I just duplicate that circle there, and that gives me a cylinder going back into space. In 1 point perspective, I draw the flat side of a triangle, and I bring that back into space, and again, I get a pretty nice looking piece, right? But in 2 point perspective, I can't do a cylinder twice. That doesn't, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. So, what I want you guys to do is task yourself. Task it. What I want you to do is figure out how we can take a triangular shape and somehow figure out how we can kind of pull it in 2 point perspective. Is it even possible? Is it remotely possible? And then once you've done that, see if you can figure out how to do a cylinder in 2 point perspective. There is a way, but how do I do it? Go ahead and give it a try first. I want you guys to attempt it before I tell you the answer. Sure. Cheat away. Go ahead. I'm just doodling. Figuring it out.
I don't know. That's what I feel. Kind of cool.
You like it? Does it make sense to you?
So if I were to make this line, it does. It's okay. It's all right.
All right, as you guys are trying this, because you guys are giving it very valiant efforts, and I'm going to give you a cheat. Some of you already might have figured it out. I'm going to give you a cheat. Make a cube in 2 point perspective and convert that cube into a cylinder. See if that helps. Because making a cube in 2 point is really, really easy, right? I mean, just kind of line this guy up. Line him up. Okay, looking good. Looks like it's something here. Here's my way cool rectangle. And then I just convert that rectangle into a cylinder. And in essence, what does it become? It kind of becomes a one-point cylinder, but this circle part, the actual oval of the cylinder, is now also going in perspective. So it's wider here and smaller here, going away. Try it as well. Do like an extruded looking triangle. Start with a cube, something that you totally know, and see if you can expand out from there. Hmm? Yeah.
You guys got this.
And again, guys, like I said, your method of this kind of like pseudo cheating will work every time. Start with this kind of rectangular shape. Start with that rectangular shape, the thing that we know and easily fits within 2-point perspective. And then kind of convert it. Say, okay, well, if this is a triangle, well, I line that up. There's my triangle. Of course, this edge now changes. So I kind of loop that down. This edge needs to be consecutive with that edge so that they all look neat and tidy. And I can also see a little bit underneath of it. Just like that. So far, so good. I'm going to give you guys another couple minutes to practice, and then I'm going to let you in on our fun game for the day. And by fun, I mean not fun, but feel free to cheer. It looks wonderful, by the way. Good.